If you're applying to law school this coming fall, this cycle is going to feel different. And the reason is simple. There are several structural factors all playing out at the same time. Over the past few years, we've seen big swings in application volume. Applications surged, early numbers spiked, and so admissions offices had no choice but to slow down. When law schools see volatility, they hesitate. They don't make rushed decisions, they hold files longer, and they stretch out decisions. And those patterns don't just disappear overnight. Now look ahead to the cycle beginning this fall, and you have people reapplying from previous competitive years. People who might have delayed their decisions for financial reasons. People who were retaking the LSAT to improve their scholarship leverage. And of course, many applicants see law school as stability in a shifting economy. That means early application spikes this fall are very possible once again. And when law schools see early spikes, they pump the brakes. They waitlist more applicants, they extend the timeline longer. Now you layer in the financing shift coming this July, the elimination of the Grad Plus loans, that is going to directly affect you. For those who are not aware, the Grad Plus loans are disappearing in July of this year in just about 3 to 4 months. So anybody applying to law school this fall to start law school in fall 2027 will be fully inside the new lending system. For decades, law school financing followed a predictable model. The Stafford loans covered about $20,000 per year, and Grad Plus loans covered the rest. No cosigner needed, income-driven repayment safety net included. But that model is gone. So funding $70,000 to $100,000 per year now looks very different. Your options become private loans with higher interest rates and stricter approval, with less flexibility, or maybe family support, which of course many students simply do not have, or you've got your scholarships. And scholarships, merit aid is driven primarily by your LSAT score. It's not your resume, it's not your personal statement, doesn't really matter how compelling your story is, it's just your score. Now combine that with applicant volume. Over the past few years, applications surged significantly, but of course, seats did not increase accordingly, law schools didn't double their faculties, and scholarship budgets definitely didn't double. So now you've got more people competing for the same number of seats in a world where borrowing is riskier. And at the same time, there are more people taking the LSAT, more people getting high scores, including 170 plus scores, and that pushes medians upward. A score that once fell comfortably above the median may now barely meet the median. If you add in the continued rise in extended time accommodations, which are legitimate and necessary for many students, but more time, of course, will generally reduce careless mistakes. All of that combines to mean you have more high scores entering the pool, and the percentiles compress as a result. Remember that there is no asterisk next to a score report indicating that a particular test taker got extra time. And so if you're applying to law school this fall and you're aiming for last year's median, that may not give you leverage. You've got to have a margin. Now let's talk strategy for your cycle. If you're applying to start law school in fall 2027, you want to test earlier in the cycle if possible. I'm talking about June, August, or September, because if you can apply the second that applications open in September, that's when law schools have the most scholarship money available. That's when there are the most seats available. If you push your testing later into the spring, you're competing for scraps. I also want you to stop treating this like a lottery. Law school admissions does not apply and hope for the best. It's all about your positioning. You plan backward from the 75th percentile LSAT at your target schools. Not the median, but the 75th percentile. Because in this new lending environment, with the elimination of the Grad Plus loans, your leverage based on your LSAT score matters more than ever. Let's run simple math. If you're paying $70,000 a year over the course of 3 years, plus you got to factor in living expenses, you're easily at $250,000 to $300,000. Now, imagine if you could score 6 points higher on the LSAT to unlock an additional $35,000 per year in scholarship aid. That's over $100,000 saved. That means you're taking on less debt, you're going to have lower monthly debt payments, and you'll have more freedom in the career that you want to choose. And that difference comes down to how you prepare for the LSAT. And LSAT Prep Now looks different than it did 5 years ago. Logic games are off the test, logical reasoning and reading comp are now the focus. And those who thrive under the new LSAT aren't rushing, they are methodical. They ID the conclusion, they spot the assumption, they predict the answer before looking at the choices. In reading comp, they map the structure instead of memorizing details. Structure beats memorization every single time. So zoom out. If you're applying this fall to start law school in fall 2027, you're entering a post-grad plus loan environment. It's a higher volume applicant pool. Law schools make decisions more slowly and they are more sensitive to medians. And I know that might sound intimidating, but here is the opportunity. When the environment gets tougher, controllable variables become more valuable. Of course, you are just one applicant out of tens of thousands. You cannot control applicant volume. You can't control the federal government's lending policy. You can't control how many other people score a 170, but you can control your own LSAT score. And in this cycle, average becomes expensive. If you can score above average, that is going to be quite profitable for you in getting scholarship money because the LSAT is not just an admissions test anymore. For you, it's a financial lever, so you want to use it that way.